Hi, and welcome to BremSter Puzzles, specifically back to the Sliced Sudoku Puzzle Pack, the best thing since Sliced Sudoku. So today I'm going to attempt a puzzle that uses column indexing as well as the sandwich, sandwich constraint with this puzzle. And this is finger sandwiches as set or constructed by Jeremy Dover. Jeremy Dover has contributed to many packs that we've done over the past and is an excellent setter. This puzzle, while I'm recording it actually early in my recording sessions, is actually listed as by the testers as probably going to be one that falls into the scenic hike range. So it'll fall somewhere in the middle of the pack. So apparently it's got some really nice tricks to it, and I'm looking forward to finding out what those are. So let's have a look at the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. We have the sandwich rules, which are, of course, the numbers outside the grid give the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in that row and row or column. So, for example, in this row, between the 1 and the 9, we will have digits summing to 13. In this column, between the 1 and the 9, we will have digits summing to 17. Hopefully by the time you've seen this, you've seen quite a few puzzles using that rule. And then we've got column indexing, which means that in any row containing a red cell in column N, so let's say in this cell is in this cell is in column N, which is column 1, the digit N, which is the digit 1, must be placed in the column number equal to the digit placed in the red cell. So what does that mean? That means that if we were to place a 4 here, the column number must be placed in the column number equal to the digit that's placed here. So the column number of the red cell, which is column 1, must be placed in column 4. Whereas if this was a 6, then the 1, because this is column 1, must be placed here. Now, the same is true for these other cells, except this is column 5 and this is column 9. So if we were to put a 7 here, because this is the red cell is in column 5, N is 5, and N must be placed now in column 7, and the 5 must go here. That's how column indexing works. There's a lot of different ways I've seen of column indexing being explained in the rules, but that's the way it works. Now, you may be wondering what these little arrows are. This is something that a few people have started using. Thank you, GDC, for providing the template for this grid. And the reason we're doing this is when we're coloring sandwich grids, we're going to hopefully start coloring these as, I don't know, I normally use green and yellow. And when I start coloring these, any highlighting that we've got on the cells is going to disappear. So the arrows are to indicate which cells are being indexed. And the 1 is either going to be in its own column or going this way. The 5 could go either direction. The 9 is going to go this way. So the arrows are sort of reminding you that the indexing is going to happen in one direction. So that's the way that is going to work. They're the rules of the puzzle. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. So I'm not going to go through the basics too much because you're in the scenic hikes and hopefully you've seen any others. We know that 35, the entire row sums to 45. 30, the minus the 1 and the 9 is 35. So every digit 2 to 8 has to appear between. So these become the 1 and the 9. So these are the yellow digits and these are all green. We know there is a 0 next to this. So either if this is the 9, the 1 is in one of these. If this is the 1, the 9 is in one of these. All of these become green. Now these are indexing each other, which is interesting. Now, do I want to do sandwich in these? It's because the 25 is a minimum of 876. It's a minimum of 4 digits. So if we start here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we start here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. These can never be part of it. 15. 15 is done in 2 or 3 digits, but it has to be done in at least 2. So if it goes this way, all of these are green. If it goes this way, the first 2 are green. Always the first 2 are always green. I'm figuring I'm going to need to use the entropy trick in these columns. I just don't know how yet. So what's the entropy trick? Let's talk about it. So we know that within a band within the same box in any of these 159 columns, because we're indexing the 1 from all of these cells, one of these must be from 1, 2, 3, one of them must be from 4, 5, 6, and one of them must be from 7, 8, 9. And the reason for that is, what would happen if two of them were from the same set? So let's say we tried to put a 4 and a 6 in here. Well, the 4 would put the 1 here, and the 6 would put the 1 here, and we'd put the two 1s in the same box, because what we're doing is we're throwing the digit into the column equal to the, we're throwing the 1 into a column, which is throwing it into a box. So a 4, 5, and 6 in these three cells is going to throw the 1 into this box, the 7, 8, 9 into this box, and the 1, 2, 3 into the 1 into this box. So if you had 2 from 1, 2, or 3, you've got 2 1s in here. If you had 2 from 4, 5, 6, you'd have 2 1s in here. And if you had 2 from 7, 8, 9, you'd have 2 1s in here. So one of these must be low, one must be mid, and one must be high in order to put 1 1 in this box, 1 1 in this box, and 1 1 in this box. And the same is true for here, and all of these as well, because one of these must put the 5 in here, one of these must put the 5 in here, and one of these must put the 5 in here. Now, I'm not sure how to use that. We know, well, these are from 1, 9, 4, 5, 6, because we know that the 1, 9 is going to be in here. So the 1 has to be in one of these, but we already knew that. So, well, one of these has to be a 1 or a 9. Can that be a 1 or a 9? Because if this was the 1, 9, for this to be a 0, how would I do the 9 here? Maybe with 1, 5, 2, 3, 4. If this was 1 and this was 5, these could be 2, 3, 4, and I would have 9 between them. Or 1, 4, and 2 digits summing to it. Yeah, that could work. But I know that these have to be green, because if this is the 1, then I need at least, well, actually all of these have to be green. Yeah, because the 1 or the 9 is in one of these two, so all of these are green. And that's going to mess with the 17. One of them needs to be down here, one of them needs to be up here. Right, so one of these is yellow. Maybe I could use lines for this. One of these is yellow, because I can't do 25 in all of these. Because if I don't make a yellow here, the furthest apart these could be those two, and that digit there would have to sum to 25. That's not going to work. And the same is true up here. One is up here and one is down here. It's got to be something with the indexing, but I'm not sure how to use it yet. There's something going on with the indexing. What's the indexing trick going on? I have to put 2 or 3. 2, 3, 7, 8 is in here. 2, 3, 7, 8 is in here. So I must have a 7 or an 8 in here. Because the 9, yeah, hang on. The 1 and the 9 is in here. So then there must be a 7, 8 in here. Wait, what? So the 9, oh no, the 1 is in one of these. There must be a 9 in one of, there must be a 9 in one of these. But if I put the 9 here, this would need to be a 1, and it can't be. If I put the 9 here, this would need to be a 1, and it can't be. That's the 9. That's the 1. These are not 9. That should have been more obvious to me, shouldn't it? Okay. So the ones are in here and in here. So there's got to be a 9 in one of these. I could put the 9 here and the 9 here, and this could be a 7 or an 8. I can't see why that one can't be the case. $24. Oh, right. This has to be the one. Because if this isn't the one, I'd have to do 24 in here. But the furthest apart these could be would be with 3 digits. But the maximum I could do in here is 876, which is only 21. This is the one. So that's yellow. This is green. This is a 4, 5, 6. And the 1 is in one of those. The 1 is self-indexing. 4, 5, 6 is here. Sorry, the 4, 5, 6 put the 1 in one of those. So the 9 is in one of those? No, that's not true. 24 means the outies, the side dish on the side of the sandwich, has to sum to 11, which is at least 2 digits. So this is green. So the 9, this has to be 4, 5. Well, I can't do 24 in 2. I can't do 24 in 3. So these are at least, these can't be the 9 because, again, the minimum that I can do in 3 is 876, which is 21. So the 9 is in one of those two, which means it's in 6 or 7, and this is a 6 or a 7. But I need to do 9 up here. If this was a 1, I'm broken because the furthest apart something could be would be with 1 space in between it. And then I'd need to put a 9 in between the 1 and the 9, and that doesn't work. So the 1 can't be here. So this is 4 or 5, which is a middle digit. No, because I did that wrong. This is a 4 or a 5 because it's indexing the 1. The 9, however, well, it has to be at least 2 away. So if the 1 is here, the 9 has to be in one of those two. The 9 has to be in one of those two. I can't put the 9 here, or I've got the same problem. I can't put the 9 here. I'd have to put the 1 in here. The 9 is in one of those two. This is a 7 or an 8, and by entropy, this becomes the 6. This becomes the 9. This is not, this is green, this is yellow, and now these have to sum to 11. So these have to sum to 5, and the only way to do that is with 2 and 3, the 2 minimum digits. These are 4, 5, 7, and 8. Now this is indexing the 5. Well, I can't put the 5 in 7 and 8, so this is 4 or 5, which means the 5 can't be in any of those. This is clever. This is very clever. Now, similarly, this must span this, because the furthest apart I could have up here would be 2. I can't put them next to each other because of the 17 clue. The furthest apart I could have those would be 2. Now, you can do 17 in 2 digits, but only if you can include a 9. A 9 is bred in this puzzle. So one of them is up here and one of them is down here. $16 I can do. How do you do 16? You can't do 16 in 2. But I could do 16 in 3 with 9, 1 and make those 16. So if this is it, it has to be those 2 digits. And then these have to sum to 15. Can I make those sum to 15? Those would have to sum to 9. Might be doable. They'd have to be 2, 7 or 4, 5. Well, they can't be 4, 5 because that would put 2 9s in this box. They'd have to be 2, 7. We should put 9 here and here. Yeah, maybe. Okay, what am I missing? The solution, that's what I'm missing. It's an old joke and I keep using it. So I need to put a 2 or a 3 up here, which is fine because it puts the 9 in here. I need to put a 2 or a 3 in here, which puts the 9 in here. That's fine. So it's column 5 now, because I need to do 17 in here, but I need a high digit in here, and it can't be 9. This has to include a high digit, which can't be 9, because, well, hang on. No. Yeah, it can't be 9. So there's a 7 or an 8 in here, throwing a 5 into one of those. And I'm aiming for 17. So these are from 1 to, well, I can't, and this is throwing a 5 somewhere, and it can't be 1 or 9. If it was 4 digits, what would the minimum they could be? 7, 4, 2. 7, 4, 1. 7, 4, 1 is still 12. Yeah, I've got some leeway. I could potentially do it in 5 digits. Could I do it in 5 digits? I could do it in 4 though. Or am I thinking about outies here? Think I'm missing something obvious. Like this isn't 1 or 9. That's green. $16 along here. Yeah, 4, 5, 7, 8. If this was a 7 or an 8, there'd be a 9 in here and therefore a 9 down here. I don't see a problem with that. No, that doesn't work. This can't be 2 cells in this direction, and it can't be 2 cells in this direction. Because if this was 2 cells, this would be a 7 or an 8, and this would be therefore be a 9. But those would both be high digits. You can never make this a 2-cell sum. It has to be a 3-cell sum. Because for this to be a 2-cell sum, it'd be 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, and for it to be 2-cell sum here, it'd have to be 6, 9. Whichever way it goes, it must be a 3-cell sum, and there must be a 9 in one of those two. That's clever. That's really clever. But, so there's a 9 here, or there's a 9 here. Which one of those breaks? Can I do 15 in here? If I did 7 here, these would have to sum to 8. Without being 1, 7, 2, 6, these would be 3, 5, which would put 9s here and here. Okay, if this is 8, these would have to sum to 7. They can't be 1, 6. They could be 2, 5, putting them here, or 3, 4, putting them here. That all seems okay. And if I went this way, these would have to sum to 9. Not 1, 8. They'd be 2, 7. They couldn't be 3, 6. They couldn't be 4, 5. These would be 2, 7, putting 9s here and here. Which doesn't work. If this goes down, I can't use 1. These would have to sum to 7. I can't use 1, 6. These, sorry, 6. These, to get to 15, I need another 9, sorry. They couldn't be 1, 8, because I don't have a 1 available. They couldn't be 2, 7, because if I did 2, 7, I'd have a 9 here and a 9 here. They couldn't be 3, 6, and they couldn't be 4, 5. It'd put 2 9s in. It can't go down. This must go up, and that's the 9. That's beautiful. 13 has to be done in at least 2 cells, but the maximum it can be done in, well, I need outies summing to 35 minus 13, which is 22. And the minimum you can do 22 in is 4 cells. So there's a 1 in one of those two, and this is 5 or 6. That's beautiful. That's really nice. And these now are restricted. If this is a 7, these have to sum to 8 without being 1, 7, 2, 6. So they could be 3, 5, putting 9s here and here. Or if this is 8, these have to sum to 7. They couldn't be 1, 6. They could be 2, 5. They couldn't, or 3, 4. Oh, they could be 3, 4. But that's so cool. That column, brilliant stuff. So the outies here have to sum to 20. So these have to sum to 14. So what was it? If this is 7, these sum to 8. They're not 1, 7. They're not 2, 6. They're 3, 5. Or if this is 8, these sum to 7. And they're not 1, 6. They could be 2, 5 or 3, 4, I think. So these are 2, 3, 4, 5, which is just putting 9 into those. Which is just proving that there's no 9 in those, which I had by Sudoku. Blast. There is a 7 or an 8 down here, which is now proven, which is putting 9 in one of those. But I don't know which. This is clever. So the 17 here now must span this. I can't do 17 down here. So there's 1 in one of these two. But I can't put them both in here. So there's 1 in one of those two. I don't know what that's doing. There's 1 down here. So there's 1 down here. But I could hide them down here, I think. 17. The outies have to sum to 18. So I can do 18 in 3 digits only. So this can't be in crust because then I'd only have 2 out. So this has to be green. And now this, this can't be it now. Since I got this, this can't be it. Because if this was bread or crust, if this was bread, where would I do the 16? The furthest away I could do it is here, and I'd have to do 16 in 2 digits, but the maximum is 7, 8, which is 15. This is not it. This right here is green, and this is absolutely a 1 or a 9, which I don't need to pencil mark because yellow does that. 17 is going up, so I've got 18 outside, which has to be done in at least 3 digits. So this isn't a 1 anymore. This is the 1, which is yellow. These all become green. And one of them is in here and one of them is in here because the 16 has to span this. So one of them is in here and these become green. Don't know what's happening in this row, so it could be right there. One of them is in one of those two. I may as well mark that actually, because the line spanning box borders doesn't actually break anything. One of them is in this two. But 17 means I need 18 outside. But I could do 18 in 3 digits. So if it's here, for example, this is green. And if it's here, this is green. Or I could potentially do this and do 18 in 4. If it's here, can I do 25 in 4 digits? Yes, easily. I could even do 25 in 5 digits. So, okay. The 8 here. So this column, can I put them both there? Maybe. Like this could be 9, 1, 8. There's a 9. No, so the 9 in this row has to be at least 2. So if that's the 1, that's the 9. If that's the 1, that's the 9. But I have to put something in one of those two. It's either a 9 there or a 1 there. If it's a 9 there... Well, wait a minute. This can't be a 5 anymore. Because if that was a 5, that would have to be a 9. Got to keep that stuff in mind, don't I? This, which is indexing 9, has to be 2, 3, 4, 5. So the high digit is in one of those two. So it's indexing again. So I can't put a 1 in any of those. So there's a no, 9 could go there. I don't understand yet. If I did 9 here, how would this work? These would have to sum to 18. I think that's, oh, this 1 means this is the 6. So there's a 4 or a 5 down here. If there's a 5 down here, it's right here. Because one of those two has to be a 1. So this is restricted. It's 3, 4, 7, or 8. 3, 4, 7, 8. So the high digit is in one of those two, but the low and middle could be anywhere. No, I'm missing the trick. Missing the trick. Missing the trick. Better at sandwich math might help. Better at sandwich math would help. These sum to 13. They're not 9, 4. They could be 8, 5. They can't be 7, 6. So these are 8, 5. So that means this can't be, this is 8, 5. So what's in that cell? If this was a 5, this would have to be an 8, and this would have to be an 8. So that's a 7. That's the 5. That's the 8. There's no 5 here now. These are 2, 3, 4, which means that can't be a 9. That is not a 9 or a 1. So this is the yellow cell. And it's a 1. This is not the 1. That's beautiful. This is the 9. No, not that one. I tried to click there. That's the 9. This 1 means this is the 5, and this 9 means this is the 5. There must be a 9 in one of those two. So one of those must be a 4. There's no 4 there. These sum to 17. But this has to be a 7 or an 8, because this must be entropic, because the 5 must be in one of those two. Because the 5 must be in one of those two. So if this is a 7, these have to sum to 10, and they'd have to be 4 and 6, making that a 5. If this is an 8, these would have to sum to 9, and this would have to be 4, 5, which means this is always the middle entropy, which means the 5 is in one of those, which means the 5 is down here, which works because this is 1, 2, or 3 because of the entropy trick. And it's not 1. So 5 is in one of those two. Oh, the 7 makes this the 8. So this is the 5. This is 8. These have to sum to 9. I can't do 6, 3. These are 4, 5. So there's a 5 in one of those two and a 5 in one of those two. There's no 5 there. 5 is in one of... That's, put the pencil mark. 5 in one of those two, 5 in one of those two. So 5 in this column has to be in one of those two, and one of those two is a 6. And these are 2, 3, 6, putting 5 in one of those. Don't know which. Do not know which. But let me just confirm, 2, 3, 6, and 7 hopefully sum to 18. 6 and 7 is 13, plus 2 and 3, which is 5. Yes, Yes, they do. One can only be in one of those cells now, which is 2, 3, or 4. So this is a 2, 3, or 4. 4 has to be in one of these. So 1 is in one of those. That lines up. Okay, let's mark off sandwich clues that I've done. Have I done the 15 yet? Not fully. Have I done the 17 yet? Yes. Have I done the 8? No. I haven't done the 17. I've done the 0. I've done the 13. I haven't done the 9, but I can, sort of. I've done the 35. I've done the 24. I haven't done the 25. I haven't done the 16. But let's go back to this 9, because if this was the 9, this would need to be a 9, so it's not. This is the 9, which means this is the 8, and this is green and yellow. These two digits have to sum to 9. Well, they're not 1, 8. They could be 2, 7 or 3, 6. Now, that can't be 2 or 3, so this can't be 6 or 7 because of the 2, 3. But the 6 makes that the 7, which means that's the 2. That's not done much. But I know what this is. This is a 4. So good. The 8 looks down saying this isn't the 8, so this can't be a 9. The 9 is here or here. So this is the 9. So I can't put the 1 up here. I can't put the 1 here because if the 1 was here, then this would be a 0. If I put the 1 here, I'd need to put an 8 between it, and I can't. So this isn't it. It must go down. I can't do 8 in 3 digits because the minimum digits are 2, 3, 4, and they sum to 9. So it has to be in 2 digits. This becomes the 1, which means this is the 8. And I found the 1 on this line. Now I've got to do 25 across. 25 has to be done in at least 4 digits, and there has to be 1 in one of these two, which is a 9, which means this is a 2 or a 3. Give me a 2, 3, 4. This is the 7, which means this is the 9. Oh, this is so cool. And I found the 1 on this domino. And this must be green, because if it's not, those two, this digit here would have to sum to either 13 or 14. So this is green and this is the 1, meaning this is yellow. I can get rid of this line, and now we know that this digit here is a 3 because it's indexing the 1. Raise a glass to freedom. This now can't be low because it had put a 1 here. So that's the 4, that's the 1. These are now green, which means this can't be the 9 because I can't put them both up here. This is the 9, this is not the 9, and we end up with green and yellow, and I can get rid of that line. And now we can use this row because these sum to 25. The digits outside the sandwich have to sum to 10, so it's 8 plus 2, which works for the 9. There's no 2 up here. These are 3 and 4, so the 9s are here and here. We also know there must be a 1 in here, so there must be a 2 in here. In fact, these are 2 and 7, which is good because there's a 1 in here. It's working. The 5 goes with the 3 to make 8. So this, I was using the wrong color, so I was using my line colors. This is done, this is done, this is done, this is done. The 25 is done because I've got the outies. I need to do the 16. The 9 is done. Haven't done the 17. The 15 is now done. So I've done most of the sandwich clues now. Let's look at the 16. If this is a 2, these would need to sum to 14. They'd need to be 8 and 6. Okay. If it was a 3, oh, it can't be a 3. This is a 2. So these need to sum to 14. They're 8 and 6, the 2 maximum digits I can make them. So these digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are 4 and 5. The 5 is looking down, making that the 4 and that the 5, which works for the 2. I could have used the 2 to index. I got there. I got there in the end. Getting there in the end is what it's all about. These are 2, 6, and 7. There's no 2 here. This is so cool. 17. So the outies are worth 18. Can I make these worth 13? Well, hang on. I know what these digits are. These are 2, 3, and 4. So I can't make those worth 13. So I need another digit. The maximum these could sum to would be 5 and 7 plus... Because the outies of this sandwich are 35 minus 17, which is 18. But the maximum that those digits could sum to would be 4, 5, and 7, which is 16, which isn't 18. So this cannot be the end of the sandwich. This has to be the end of the sandwich, which means this is Lello. This is not Lello. This is Lello. Hello. Hello. This line can go away. The 17 is not done yet, but what I can do is mean that this is the 2 because it's indexing the 1. This is the 7. I could have used that, which would... Oh, no, I just put that in. These now have to sum to 17. I actually don't know yet. These 3, 6, 8. This is a 6 by Sudoku, and these are a 3, 8. So 1, 2, 3. This is known. That's a 6, which means this isn't a 6. This is a 6. The 2 is looking up. This is a 3, which means this is a 5, which means it's not a 9. That's a 9. That's a 9. These are both of the yellow digits. I can remove the line, but more importantly now I can select all of the green and turn it off because I have all of the bread. And now this is why we put the arrows in, because all of those red highlights would have gone away if it had just been the highlighting. The 3 is looking across, making this the 4, which works for that 9, which makes this the 3, which works for that 9. And because we've got all the 1s and 9s now, all of these columns can be done. The 4 and the 5 is the only thing that's not resolved, but the 1 and the 9 columns are done. This is so clever. Not surprised, it's a Jeremy Dover puzzle. The 5 says this isn't the 5, this is the 5, which works for this. The 3 takes 3 out of there. 3 is in one of those 2. I'm just failing at the Sudoku now. These are 7 and 8, and the 8 makes that the 7 and that the 8. This is a 2. So this box, this is 9, the box is missing 2 and 4. So 4 and 2, and I can take 2 out of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goes into there, which takes 8 out of there. What sandwich haven't I done? I haven't done this 17. So the outies are 18, which means these need to sum to 10 because I've already got 8. So if this was a 7, I've blown the total. If this was a 6, this is a 2. So these need to sum to 18. There's already 15, so that has to be the 3 and the 4 to make the difference. These digits that I haven't placed are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. 6 and 7 plus 4 is 17, and I'm there. But this means that this is the 8 because I couldn't use the 4 or the... What was the other digit? 4 or the 7, making that the 8, taking 8 out of there. These are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 2 and 3, and the 2 looks over, making that the 3 and that the 2. The 7 looks over, taking 7 out of there. So this has to be 4 or 6, and the 4 is looking down, making that the 6 and that the 4, making that the 7, that the 6. There's no 7 here. This is a 4, 5, which isn't resolving this at all, because whichever way this goes, it just, like if this is a 4, this is a 5, if this is a 5, this is a 4, and the indexing just works. But the 4 is looking down, making that the 5, making that the 4, making that the 5, and now the indexing is complete. Okay, the indexing is now complete. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but a learner. I am not a master. The 6 is looking down, making that the 8 and that the 6. This is a 3 or a 7 for the column. This is not a 2. This is a 6, 7. The 6 is looking over, making that the 7, that the 6. The 8 is looking back, making that the 3 and that the 8. This row is missing its 3, which makes that the 7, and the final digit to go into the grid seems to be a 4. No, not the final grid. I haven't done these. That's the 7, that's the 3, and that is the correct solution. 37 minutes on the button. Did I like this puzzle? Absolutely, I liked this puzzle. Finger Sandwiches by Jeremy Dover. I agree, this was a scenic hike, probably on the trickier side as well, because there was a fair bit of stuff to figure out on that one. Some of the indexing tricks, absolutely stunning though. So you needed a fair bit of understanding of the entropy tricks with 159. And any puzzle where you need to go in with pre-assumed knowledge in order to be able to sort of kick it off is automatically a scenic hike, pretty much in the way that we classify puzzles. So automatically a scenic hike just from the 159 assumed knowledge. And then some of the sandwich knowledge was quite tricky. So this is probably going to get classified as a slightly harder scenic hike simply because of the assumed knowledge of how to use the entropy in 159. And then the tricky sandwich logic bumping it up a bit as well. Really fun though. I liked this one. I haven't solved many puzzles, and I haven't solved many of the scenic hikes yet, but this is definitely up there for my favorite so far. I love this puzzle. Thank you, Jeremy Dover. Thank you, everyone who's watching. As I said, I'm recording these out of order, so I don't know what you've seen in what order. We'll figure that out later. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And as always, good luck with your solving.